Hello, you wonderful people. This is Jomo Rising, and I'm here to talk about the first turn of my diplomacy game, which has processed. Again, we're playing on through a website called playdiplomacy.com, and I both know and don't know the players. I know two of the players very well, and four of them not very well at all. But got to know people a little bit this turn, and a little bit more since getting the results for turn one. I guess I'll go through the countries. We'll start in England because everything starts in England. The English turn was a little confusing to me. There was an almost arranged bounce in the English channel with the French and the English, and so that happened. And then the Edinburgh fleet moved to North Sea as expected, but the army stayed in Liverpool. It didn't move to anywhere where it could actually be useful. But I guess there's still time. Yeah, so there's that. Communication from England has been very sparse. The theory is now that he's just going to take Norway, and that's that. And he really hasn't said much more to anybody, to the best of my knowledge. Moving on to France. France did the bounce in the English Channel, and he and I had talked about him moving to Picardy instead of Burgundy, because, well, I don't want anybody in Burgundy. And so, yeah, I expect I will be supporting his Picardy army into Belgium. I expect I will be doing that. That will announce to the world that France and I are working together, or France and me. But I'm kind of thinking that a lot of people know that already for some reason, that I'm not sure of. He did move to Spain as planned, but the Italian moved to Piedmont, which surprised, well, France. And that means that now France has to double back and protect Marseille. So that might cost France the build in Spain. But he kind of has to do it because Italy's turn, and we'll go on to Italy now, Italy's turn has completely anti-French. With the Italian fleet not moving to the Ionian Sea, that is announcing to the world that he is doing nothing against Turkey or fighting for Greece at all, that he is moving on France, and kind of by himself. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long that goes. As of now, I'm working with France, but I am also working with Italy. I mean, I did enough to I did enough to encourage him not to attack Austria, which is, for a few turns, I need Austria to stick around. So blatant a move against France in the first turn is a bit shocking to me. And it is pretty clear that the Italian and the Austrians have some sort of arrangement, because they are completely leaving each other alone, as they share the only two starting locations that actually have supply centers in them, and they're also adjacent in Trieste and Venice. Yeah, they just completely trusted each other on the first turn. And that's good. I don't want Austria to fall too quickly. The thing that shocked, well, those of us who know common moves for Austria, and we'll move on to Austria now, the move that we thought, that some of us thought Austria was going to do was move to bounce Russia in Galicia, but because that's a fairly common move. But Austria didn't do that, and Russia did do that, and we'll get to Russia in a bit. But Austria's moves besides that were fairly typical, ensuring himself Serbia and Greece, probably. Very likely he will retain Serbia and take Greece because Italy is not there to, contest it. Turkey's moves were fairly typical. Of course, the bounce in the Black Sea is fairly normal. I'm still not thinking that Turkey is working with Russia, and I'm also not thinking that Turkey is necessarily working with Austria. So I'm not entirely sure who Turkey is working with, if anyone. I've reached out and have received vague responses. There's some interest in me helping Turkey by bouncing Russia out of Sweden, but we'll get to Russia shortly. There may be cooperation between the Austrian and the Turkish with regards to Romania, and that will be really interesting. If the Russian manages to not get Romania, that would be a shining example of the Austro-Turkish alliance. Considering Russia has 3 units around Romania, but Austria and Turkey do as well. So it's interesting. The Russian, I believe he expected a bounce in Galicia, but it doesn't matter. He's taken the territory, and so he should do something with it. I suspect that the army in Galicia will move to Romania with support from other units. The only question is, will Austria-Turkey stop that? I do believe that Russia is taking a stance against Turkey and will be probably moving the fleet to Armenia, but I am not quite sure. The Turkish fleet will almost certainly go back to the Black Sea, though, so that's not good for Russia. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I haven't looked real closely. And there again, communication from Turkey and Austria has been lacking. Communication from Russia has been great. Unfortunately, he moved to Galicia without hearing from Austria, which, from the few scraps of information I have gotten, has angered the Austrian player. So I'm not quite sure of Russia's status in the south. His status in the north is in question. If Austria asks me to bounce Russia out of Sweden on this coming turn, I will, because I need Austria to stick around, and if I'm giving Russia extra builds and Russia is against Austria, then I need to bounce him out of Sweden so he doesn't get the extra build. Now that delays my actions against England, where I could very well move to the North Sea, but I'm also interested in taking Sweden myself. If Russia wants Norway, well, you can talk to the English about that, which is kind of what Russia and I have been talking about, is possibly him helping me against the English in Norway. The English are kind of my first priority, But if Russia is against Austria, that changes things. And so I'm a bit torn there, but the sure thing is that I'm going to get 2 dots in the winter. That the move I'm mostly considering is to support France into Belgium, to move to Holland, and to move for the bounce in Sweden. That's the way my moves are right now. If I get enough communication over the next day, because that's all the time we have left is 1 day, then maybe I will move that fleet to the North Sea on the hope of taking it. And that might change the movements of my other units. But yeah, you can see that already things are heating up, that France and England are at loggerheads, and the whole East seems to be in chaos to a certain extent. So, yeah, it's been an interesting first year, and we'll see what really happens in the fall. This is Jomo Rising, signing off.